The men of Love is Blind, Habibi, were trash this season, and I feel like that's not gonna come as a surprise to a lot of people. I feel like Arab men do have a bit of a reputation. Now, I would say they weren't as bad as the men on the current season of the US one, actually. Maybe one or two of them is up there, but generally it's just kind of like a medium trash level. So let's go through the main guys one by one. So I think the worst man on the season was Amar. This man is just a very bad-spirited, evil-minded individual. He has very traditional values, and it's increasingly clear that he does not value women. He does not see women as their own person. He basically sees them as an object. He literally said that his wife will come second to him and his family. And his whole thing is that you have to do everything that he says. To him, saying no is the ultimate form of disrespect. And to me, that is just very dangerous, especially considering things like marital rape is not recognized in the UAE. And he pretty much wastes no time starting his controlling behavior. His main connection was Karma. She's a dancer, and he, right off the bat, is just like, I don't like that. And he says it in the way that's very final, as if she's meant to just drop her passion for dancing just because he said so. He's also aware that she's a businesswoman, she has her own business, and yet he still gets with her anyway, even though he's a traditional man. And like I said before, he feels like his wife should come second in the relationship and basically dedicate her life to him. So if you want a woman that's going to dedicate your life to you, why would you pick a businesswoman who has to run her own business? So anyway, Karma is this very vibrant woman. She runs her own business. I don't understand why Amar would go for her. I feel like someone like him, you would think he would be going with a submissive woman who's very much on the same page about, being the submissive traditional Arab wife. But no, he goes for Karma. And I feel like his plan was that he was just going to break Karma down into this submissive wife. And I feel like maybe that was the little challenge for him. Let me break this woman down and turn her into a submissive woman. I feel like that was a nice challenge for him, because he kept making comments here and there trying to chip away at her. Now, ultimately, Karma clocked his ass, and he didn't want to negotiate or compromise on her wanting to be a creative dancer. And he tried his best to belittle her and kind of second guess her out of breaking up with him. And also putting all the blame on her, basically saying that the reason that they're breaking up is because of her, because she didn't want to give up dancing, when he could have just let that go. Then he goes on to say, well, if you don't give up dancing, no man's going to want you, no Arab man's going to want you, no real man's going to want you. Like I said, just very bad-minded, evil-spirited, mean-spirited. Because it's like, she doesn't want you, you guys couldn't agree on this, just let it go. She wished him love and peace. Did he wish her that? No. And now we can see why he's struggling to find a wife, and maybe that's for the best. Next on the list, we have Simo. I feel like a lot of these men were sassy, to be honest, but Simo was definitely the sassiest out of the bunch. He even said himself that he likes attention, but he likes too much attention. And he's also very sensitive. Like in the pods, he kept going on with his one connection, Yasmin, that she didn't make him feel special because she hadn't done anything special for him, and she was dating all of these guys, even though he was dating multiple people as well, and basically throwing a tantrum about it. And honestly, I was a bit confused about that. Like, I feel like maybe he wanted like some special gifts, some grand gestures. I think he wanted to be romanced, just as much as the women were being romanced in the pods. And I feel like he was a bit jealous of the other women being romanced. And he was like, well, why can't I be romanced as well? I was given that. Like, sometimes it felt like he was in competition with the women, and like he wanted to be treated like a bad bitch. Another red flag with Simo is that he was a bit strict as well, and it also kind of felt like he wanted a prisoner wife as well. He had a connection with Haja, and she's very much like a modern woman. She likes to go out with her girls, she likes to go out late, and they're both Moroccan. Simo is based mainly in Morocco, but he comes to Dubai as well, and Haja is based in Dubai, and she likes Dubai because it's a lot more liberal than Morocco. But he wants to go to Morocco, And he's insisting that they go to Morocco. He says that his family's there, his business is there, which makes sense. But I also feel like there was an element of she has to be this submissive, well-behaved wife in Morocco. She won't have as much freedom as she would in Dubai, and he prefers it that way. He also says that he wouldn't want her to do things alone, like they'd have to do things together. Like if she wanted to go do something fun, if she wanted to go out and party, she would have to do it with him. They have to do everything together all the time. But I'm pretty sure this standard probably only applies to Haja and not to himself. Like he would be allowed to go out with his friends. He would be allowed to go out alone. I suspect such. Another red flag from Simo is that he was a gossip. He was going around spreading people's business. He was going around judging everybody. And to me, that was a red flag. And segueing into that whole argument that he had with Jafi was embarrassing. He should have shut that down. And the fact that he was upset at Haja for not backing this foolish argument was just ridiculous. And what's hypocritical is that there was a situation where Haja was like, oh, because we're together, you should back me on this. He was like, no, I'm not going to back you on this. And that point was valid because he checked her on being rude to the waiter. And she was like, oh, why are you checking me? You should be backing me. But for Haja, he expects undying loyalty. Even when he's being foolish, he's expecting Haja to back his foolishness. It's giving very much one rule for me, another for you. And that's a red flag. And he took that so personally that he broke up with Haja without telling her, which is, again, another red flag. But I think that was a blessing for Haja because Simo was a lot. Then we move on to Jafi, who I was just talking about Simo having an argument with. He very much gives young F-boy vibe. He was a player in the pods. Like the move that he pulled in the pods when he basically shouted from the men's quarter that he was in love with Dunia without cutting off his other connections, so his other connections could hear that they weren't his number one, was diabolical. And he knew exactly what he was doing there. Also, the fact that he emphasized that he liked that Dunia had never been in a relationship before because, you know, other girls have too much experience. It was given very much that he likes that he can manipulate her because she's never been in a relationship before. Like, it's going to be easier to manipulate her because she's clueless. And also the fact that he was saying that he doesn't like girls that have been in too many relationships. But for him, it's fine, though. He also says that he's very jealous. He doesn't like, you know, Dunia talking to other guys, laughing with other guys, even though he does the same with women. Again, double standard. Also, the way that he was so fixated on Noor and the fact that he actually meddled in her relationship and was a factor in Noor's relationship not working out. I believe he definitely, you know, put a seed in Midu's head. He very much gives, if I can't have her, no one can. Which moves us on to Midu. With Midu, again, very sassy, very sensitive. He doesn't take rejection well. And he's also incredibly insecure. I feel like he very much needs a woman to find him physically attractive for him to feel confident in himself. And because he knew that Noor didn't find him physically attractive, he definitely punished her for that. And I feel like that's what that whole breakup situation was. He wanted to embarrass her. He wanted her to feel as insecure as he did. Then we have Mohammed. He probably has the least amount of red flags, but I feel like he puts a lot of pressure on Safa, especially with the kids, trying to get her to compromise on her job. He seems very, very pushy. And I feel like he definitely will manipulate to get his way. So that's a red flag there. Khatib, he had a lot of red flags in the beginning just because he was a bit of a player, a bit of a copy and paster. But I feel like he improved out of the pods. Then we had Kareem from the pods. He was very misogynistic. He was trying to play games with these women. He was trying to come in, trying to play the game. But it became very clear that he has some issues going on. He's very insecure. I think he's especially insecure about his income. I feel like he may not be as successful as the other guys. And therefore, he resented the women that wanted providers because it became very clear that he wasn't happy with himself. And that's pretty much a roundup of the red flags. What did you think of the men?